Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis, on Sri Aurobindo, Part 6. Question. Sweet Mother, you have said that to be allowed to sit in Sri Aurobindo's room and meditate there, quote, one must have done much for him, end quote. What do you mean by that, Mother? What can one do for the Lord, which will be this much? Mother, to do something for the Lord is to give him something of what one has, or of what one does, or of what one is. In other words, to offer him a part of our belongings or all our possessions, to consecrate to him a part of our work or all our activities, or to give ourselves to him totally and unreservedly, so that he can take possession of our nature in order to transform and divinize it. But there are many persons who, without giving anything, always want to take and to receive. These people are selfish, and they are not worthy of meditating in Sri Aurobindo's room. 26 September 1960. Sweet Mother, Sri Aurobindo tells us, God's grace is more difficult to have or to keep than the nectar of the immortals. What does this mean? Doesn't the divine grace always pour down on us, depending only on our receptivity? Mother, the grace is always there, eternally present and active. But Sri Aurobindo says that it is extremely difficult for us to be in a condition to receive it, keep it, and make use of what it gives us. From the disciple, Sri Aurobindo even says that it is more difficult than to drink from the cup of the gods who are immortal. Mother, to receive the divine grace, not only must one have a great aspiration, but also a sincere humility and an absolute trust. 17 October 1960. Sweet Mother, why isn't it possible to live always on the same height of consciousness? Sometimes I fall despite every effort and aspiration. Sri Aurobindo speaks of a period of assimilation. What is it, Mother? Mother, it is because an individual is not made up all of one piece, but of many different entities, which are sometimes even contrary to one another. Some want the spiritual life, others are attached to the things of this world. To make all these parts agree and to unify them is a long and difficult task. The force and the light received by the more developed parts spread gradually into the rest of the being by a process of assimilation. And during this period of assimilation, the progress of the more developed parts seems to be interrupted. This is what Sri Aurobindo has spoken of. 29 October 1960. Sweet Mother, Sri Aurobindo tells us, God in His perfection embraces everything. We also must become all-embracing. There is a lot of misunderstanding among the young people about this sentence. What does it mean exactly? Mother, it should be understood clearly that there is no question here of any physical embracing as practical jokers with the tastes and habits of street urchins might like to suggest, and who seek, in what Sri Aurobindo has written, an excuse for their excesses. The divine embraces are embraces of soul and of consciousness, and they can be reproduced among human beings only by a widening of the consciousness, understanding, and feelings, a widening that enables you to understand everything and love everything without preference or exclusiveness. 26 November 1960. Mother designated the red lotus as the flower of Sri Aurobindo and the white lotus as her own. Mother says, red lotus, symbol of the manifestation of the Supreme upon earth. White lotus, symbol of the divine consciousness. 2nd February 1930. When in your heart and thought you will make no difference between Sri Aurobindo and me. When to think of Sri Aurobindo will be to think of me, and to think of me will mean to think of Sri Aurobindo inevitably. When to see one will mean inevitably to see the other, like one and the same person. Then you will know that you begin to be open to the supramental force and consciousness. 4 March 1958. Mother Sri Aurobindo is my refuge.